Jack, have you ever seen a facility like this?
The only one I've ever seen like this, everyone, is in Hillsville, which is in Australia. I was there it was built about probably 12 years ago. I filmed there twice. It's a place that's similar to this. It's circular. You have the glass windows. Of course, you haven't been there yet, right? So you know what you're going to see. So I'm telling you what you might
Nobody's
see.
been inside yet.
So you do look at the veterinarians in their examination tables, the surgery room, the diet kitchen, not diet kitchen, that's a kitchen better than your house, better than my house that you'll ever see in there, where people can take part in preparing the food for the animals. Because all this stuff before, what's neat about this is everyone, this is all done behind the scenes, so to speak, for many, many years. At most zoos, 222 accredited zoos in this country, and aquariums, most all this is done behind the scenes, not because it's secretive or anything, it's just that's the way it was always done. That'll be done right here in front of your eyes, plus you can take part in that, the public can that visit here, as well as watch surgeries. Now, obviously, there are veterinary clinics that are being more and more throughout this country where dogs and cats, you can take your dog, I don't know if you have this, but we do in Montana, other places, Ohio, where you can actually view the room in glasses, looking at the cats and dogs, and people can see that while they're waiting to bring their dog in. And talk to the vets. Here you can actually talk to veterinarians working on, a minute ago they were having an echidna. Echidna is one of the only two egg-laying mammals in the world. You have the echidna and the platypus. And that was in there, they're working on that a second ago. So you'll be able to see this on TV screens, as well as they can actually focus in down right there on the surgery itself, as well as if they're looking at microscopic slides of blood or tissue, you can even see that on the TV screen. And then they have a speaker there that talk back and forth to the doctors behind there. So it's an incredible experience. It's one that's one of only few in this country, and that's how I've been involved with Busch Gardens since I was telling the other group, since 1968 when I came here for my honeymoon. Believe it or not, that's how old I am. But Busch Gardens has always been an innovator in whatever they do. One of the first African adults ever built in the country was here. I could go on and tell you many, many things they do here that's the first. It's the zoological world does a lot of things, models it after what they built here at this park. And that's what you'll see here. There'll be veterinarians here from every zoo in the country, I guarantee you, this year, wanting to see how they built this. And they're building new vet clinics. Because the veterinary clinics throughout our country and our zoos are changing dramatically right now. With research, with all sorts of things we do, and I don't even get into it. It even gets complicated. But this will make it fun for everybody to see what goes on, plus you never get to see these animals ever worked on, for example. So it is a whole new experience, trust me. And one of the only ones in the United States, if not the only one.
So obviously you feel, Jack, that this has got a lot of educational value for people?
Sure. Being from Tennessee as an 11-year-old boy, when I went to work for a veterinarian for 6 years cleaning cages, which I did, you can imagine if I was an 11-year-old boy now and walked through here, you know what I want to be. I always wanted to be a veterinarian, but I wasn't smart enough to do that. But the point is, when you come through here at that age, you know, it's going to be something you'll remember. And, I never had that opportunity. The kids today don't ever have the opportunity, but they will here at Busch Gardens.
Did you have input into this and to how?
The only input I had was when they were asking me if I'd ever seen something like this several years ago, and I just told them at the Hillsville place, Hill Street, somewhere around here. He went over there to visit in Hillsville, and the thing is modeled after that facility because it's the only one I'd ever seen in the world when I saw it. Again, there are domestic human hospitals, dogs and cats, that have something like this, but not to this extent. Even dogs and cats, these guys don't. Matter of fact, if you wait around until I think it's tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have my surgery on my knee in here. I'll be the first one to ever. Did you see you look at me?
Cracking Jack's knee open.
No, I didn't have a knee surgery, but I tell you, I could have it there. You laugh. I have a little place in Rwanda, in Africa, you know. And what's amazing, everyone, is what you're seeing here is, you know, we talk about the animal world a lot, and some people might talk about what the animal world doesn't have, especially in zoological parks. But 98% of our animals, everybody, comes from other zoological parks, all right? Jack doesn't go out and put them in a box and bring them back on a plane like all the kids when they email me. I just got back from Botswana and Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, filming 11 shows over there just several weeks ago. And when you look at what we have here, what Busch Gardens has here, you understand the care these animals have. It's beyond the people world is what we have here. And so that's what you must remember in the zoological world today. Veterinary care is not just to care for the animals, it's to learn more about the animals so we can help the animals in the wild as well. And what we're learning here, for example, let's say I had to have a cheetah, for example. A lot of times you might go to Africa and get some for a gene pool, or I can send a veterinarian there to collect the eggs or sperm, or vice versa, we can take it to Africa and help those cheetahs. And that's what we're learning in these facilities here. It's a shared learning. Back in the old days when I first started the business in 1970, I'm not that old, 69, 70, Zoos were very private then. I don't know why, but that's the way it was. Oh, I've got 2 elephants. Well, you don't have 1 elephant, and that's the way it was. Until about the late 70s, 80s, that all changed. Breeding loans now, sharing of information. We now realize it's the only way we're going to get these animals survive. Sustainability now. We have to now start working at breeding loans with other zoos. Right? Busch Gardens might be able to take, for example, in Ohio, it's wintertime, right? So why would I have to keep maybe elephants or giraffe or something up there in the winter where I might want to bring it here? Where we're all working together now, many projects, many things throughout the zoological world.
What kind of things do you guys have to do differently, or take into consideration knowing that theme park guests are going to be walking through a facility like this?
Well, I think the first thing we're probably doing is figure out how to get everybody in there, because a lot of people want to go in this place and see it, especially when they're doing surgeries. Now, there might be times there might not be surgeries, but there's all sorts of other things you'll see in there that they'll be doing. I'm sure that there's a major surgery, there'll be a curtain pulled or something like that, but all the surgeries or minor surgeries will all be done here so the public can watch it. And they have tables in there for anything up from a zebra down to a little teeny gerbil or something, whatever that might be. You can imagine in veterinary field what you're dealing with. You're dealing with birds of all sorts from around the world. You're dealing with hoof stock from around the world. You're dealing with every type of, I think there's like 200 species of animals here. So you can imagine being a veterinarian for a dog or cat is hard enough because they can't talk. But being a veterinarian for zoological exotic animals is a whole nother field.
I have a question for Mousesteps.
Oh, you said you were here first in the 60s. When did your
I
partnership...
spent my honeymoon here.
Right, in 68 you said.
How'd you know that? Did I say that?
Yeah, you said that. When did your partnership actually start, and how did it come about with Busch Gardens?
Well, Busch Gardens and the SeaWorld, let's go back.
Right,
Well,
in
Busch
SeaWorld.
Gardens, I spent my honeymoon here. So that's how it started.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
actually start working with them?
No,
at that
I
time,
just
or-
came by here when I was
Oh.
21 years old because I was fascinated by this park when there was a few birds flying around here and things like that. But as far as working it professionally, I would say 24 or 5 years ago. It's not really a job for me because I got enough stuff to do. But I love coming here. I really do. I'm on the road 260 days a year. All right, that's a lot. I visit zoos all over the world as well as filming the wild all over the world. I love coming here because it brings me back to, my mind is always working here on what I can do to improve the Columbus Zoo. I'm sure they can come there and find some things out too, but down here, we're building in one of the largest velts in the country right now in Columbus. But I want to go out here and learn from them what they do. This velt has been here for, I don't know, what, 30, 40 years? And it's still, it's the same velt. And that tells you something. It tells you they did it correctly the first time. And how they are a mixture of animals. You know, that's what I'm always learning here. That's why a lot of zoo people come here, is to learn about what they do. And I say that because, you know, I wouldn't be coming here if I didn't learn something or didn't think they were doing the greatest thing there was with the animal world. Because the habitats here are the best in the world, you know, when it comes to the naturalistic, when it comes to the care, all that type of thing.
Any procedures or anything that you would probably not allow the public into view?
Well, I'm sure I'm not a veterinarian again. There might be something where an animal has had a heart problem or something, you know, and there's certain things that you want the public to see, there's certain things you don't. You know, it's that simple. There's certain things that nothing that you don't want to see, but why, you know, some surgeries are very dramatic if you've ever watched surgeries like I have. And so, you know, it's just like taking the interns or something and learning them in a hospital. You let them watch operations that they can learn when they first become a doctor. That's kind of what this will be like. You know, obviously you'll have surgeries here, they're very serious. And these doctors have to be concentrating on the serious part of it. That doesn't happen very often, by the way, in the zoo world, but it does happen. Obviously, one guy asked me one time, he said, what's the death rate at the Columbus Zoo? This reporter about 15 years ago said 100%. He goes, oh my God. He starts writing, I said, what's the death rate on Earth? 100%. See, the animal's longevity here is everybody says, you know, how they live in the wild. Well, the wild is, it's beautiful, no doubt about it. But it's also, it's not like it was. Do you understand what I'm saying? These animals have it tough out there a lot of places. They don't have the room. They don't have the forage. They don't have a lot of stuff that years ago. We're trying to correct that now. It's just like Busch Gardens with the Conservation Fund. They give millions of dollars to animals in the wild. Last year, the zoos in this country gave $42 million to animals in the wild. You don't hear about that, do you? Yeah, Columbus Zoo gave over $1.6 million. We have 62 projects in Columbus. I don't know how many this park has. So that's what we do. And that's what's so vital.
I'm happy to help provide an answer to that question as well.
Okay, cool.
You can ask the vets as you continue through our day, but as a spokesperson for the park, I'm happy to tell you that our animals are the number one concern at this park. Of course, safety is our number one priority. So whether you're talking about a guest or an animal, we're going to put safety number one. If a procedure comes up that is challenging enough on the vets that we want to focus strictly on that animal, that would be the kind of thing we would do either in an hour that we won't have guests in the park, or we would do behind the scenes. At this point, we plan to show as much as we possibly can, as long as the animal's safety is number one and being taken care of first.
Would you guys like let people know it's like, hey, there's this going on, you may or may not want to take part in this?
Yes, and you'll see as you enter the building that there is signage that points out that it is up to the parents' discretion, because some of the images may be graphic, and we want parents to make that decision of what's right for their children to see. Okay, do we want to take another question? Mousesteps?
Oh, how has the standard of animal care changed over the 40 or so years you've been doing this? I know that animal enclosures at different parks are much bigger. When I started as a kid, they were very small and animals didn't have a lot of room to roam. But what has changed at zoos besides that over the years?
Well, animal care is back in the old days, it was just to get an animal basically, and I'm not talking about this park, I'm talking about the 1940s, 50s, whatever. Well, to get as many animals as you could from different species and exhibit those animals. And obviously that's not done anymore. It's all done with SSP, Species Survival Plan. You've heard of that? Species Survival Plan, everybody's with the American Zoological Trade Association, where these animals all have numbers. Some of them have the computer chips in them, just like your dog or cat. So you follow these animals throughout their lifetime for gene pools, wherever they go, where they might not go. That was unheard of. We have the frozen zoos now in Cincinnati, New Orleans, and San Diego, where we have tens of thousands of animals in these little tubes. Not cloning, I mean, not making little monsters on TV. It's a matter of keeping the sperm or the eggs alive. For example, in Columbus, we took the sperm from a rhino in 1986. Clyde, he was 60-something years old, oldest in the world. We thawed some of that 2 years ago, just a teeny bit down in Cincinnati. It had like 80% motility rate. So you see what we're doing the zoological world. I'm too old right now. I can't follow everything because it's not complicated, but it is beyond anything you would ever imagine being done in these parks, Busch Gardens, these places. Because we realize something: we can't save every animal on Earth at Busch or the 220 zoos. So we're doing all sorts of research right now to make sure these animals are around for future generations to enjoy. Everybody can't go. I wish they all could to where I go. I wish everybody could do that, but I try and bring the animal world to them, and that's what Busch Gardens does, or SeaWorld, or whatever. Columbus, all those 222 zoological parks. They try and bring that to people. Because you know something, everybody? Unless you love something, you can't save something. It's that simple. It's just that simple. And we have a country here that has to be the number one country on Earth. And some people say, well, some folks, I won't mention names, say, Jack, why do you have to take an animal on TV? Why does Busch Gardens have to sometimes go to TV? Why do I go to New York? Why do I do all these shows? So people can see a living creature. Why can't they just, why do I do speeches in 100-something theaters this year with living creatures? Because you can feel an animal when you see it. It's like when you go to a park like this. Even though I like for you to watch my show, you still don't get the same feeling from my show as if you were there. And that's what, they bring you to Africa here. They bring you to Asia here. They bring you to South America here. 99% of people can't go there in this country. So unless they love something, how are they going to help save something? You see what I mean? It doesn't. That's what this park teaches as well, is love for these animals. That's the answer to your question. That's another thing that's increased in this business. Everyone, for us, a turnaround at the Columbus Zoo and our staff and the animal departments doesn't happen. They stay there. These people are there because these are their families. This is their children. They're here every day, and without the keepers and the knowledge they have, we don't have a chance, because the veterinarians will tell you this. These keepers, that animal is not just eating right, it doesn't look right. The veterinarian doesn't know that. These guys can't be out there with 20,000 animals, whatever it is, 2,000. So that's how it's changed as well. We had people taking care of them, but it's more of a job, taking the feed, cleaning them up, and leaving. Clean them up and leaving, that kind of thing. I just remember as I was working at the Knoxville Zoo, I was always fascinated by the animal. I would watch them, and that kind of thing. And that's what we have here today. Those people who work at the Busch Gardens or any zoo in this country, 99, probably all of them, have that love. You can have a love, but you also have to work ethic, because this isn't something like something you just shut down at 5 o'clock. This is 24/7 every single day of the year. Like when my children or grandchildren want a dog or a cat, I explain to them, this is a living creature. This is something for a lifetime. This isn't some little toy we got here we have for a few days. That's how it's changed over the years.
That wraps our Q&A with Jeff.